Welcome to this show. As I promised you earlier, I will be bringing some guests to the show to talk about different aspects of career growth, leadership, investments, you name it. We will talk about it if it's important to you. So today I'm very excited to have a very, very special guest. You may have seen him around, and by the way, he's a retiree like me, but a little bit older than me. I heard him saying that he's on the 6th floor, room 6. That's what I heard him say. So you'll meet him very, very quickly, very shortly. And we are going to talk about leadership. He'll share his journey. He has vast experience in the insurance industry, pensions, specialization. He's an expert there. He's a strategy expert. He actually lectures in that. So he will share a lot of his experiences, just to help us have a view of what we need to do today to help us have a better tomorrow. I want to welcome Dr. Edward Odundo to the show. Welcome, Edward.
Thank you, Mary.
Welcome, Daktari.
Thank you, Mary.
We are really pleased to have you here today.
Yes.
You have vast experience in various fields, in insurance, in pensions. You've been to the stock exchange, stock markets. You are a board member in several institutions. But I want us to start by you telling us how your early years were. Just a few highlights so that they all know that you came from somewhere and you are not always the way you are today.
Thank you, Mary. I like it as a teacher. I like it taking it the other way around in conversations. My name is Dr. Odundo, Edward Odundo. I'm a retiree. I'm on the 6th floor, room 6. And I always tell people where we are going is nearer than where we came from. So we have to sort of downsize and become moderate in most of the things we do going forward. I lecture at the University of Nairobi, School of Business, and then in strategy and entrepreneurship, and also students doing their project planning, the engineering students. These days we do it across the board. And I also set up a school of pension and retirement studies to teach people about retirement. I was the chief executive of Retirement Benefits Authority for close to 16 years. I think I'm the longest serving chief executive in a parastatal because I served 4 different governments. We'll talk about it, how you survive there. And also I'm a director at the Equity Group Holdings, and I also chair the Equity Life Assurance. And I chair the audit committee of the board, we also discuss. And I used to be the commissioner of VAT, of value-added tax, at the Kenya Revenue Authority. I was the first financial controller of KRA. And from there, I was also a director at Insurance Regulatory Authority, and also a director of Nairobi Securities Exchange. And been also the chairman of Management University of Africa and Tangaza University, where I still chair the university board. I'm happy that those 2 universities got their charter same day as when I was chairing those 2 institutions. And I was also at Uzima University. I've been on a number of institution boards, and the experience I've had as a chief executive and a board member is quite interesting. We'll be discussing the board dynamics, which I find the most interesting part of being a board member, apart from the governance that we talk about and issues to do with how a board should operate. Most of those people come to know about them. Professionally, I hold a PhD from the University of Nairobi, and an MSc and Masters and a Bachelor's from Santiago. And I'm also an alumni of Harvard University and London School of Economics. And I'm a fellow of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and also a fellow of the Certified Secretaries. I was a board secretary for many years. I would say my mentor was Philip Ndegwa, that was my mentor, former governor of Central Bank. I'm going to talk about it. I had very good mentors, I would say. And I served as a board member there. We find that, so I'm also a fellow of the Kenya Institute of Management, and I'm also a member of ICFI. ICFI is the Institute of Financial Investors, and also director of Institute of Board of Directors. So I've been in the boards, for many boards.
All those credentials in one lifetime. Yes. Congratulations,
so,
Dr.
going back
it's a stunning
to reach there.
Yeah.
I was born 66 years ago, as I said, in the village, Siaya village. Interesting, I was not born in a hospital, I was born in the house. Then my parents came to Nairobi. I grew up in Eastlands, and this is Botella Estate. That's where I grew up. I went to a school known as St. Paul's Primary School in Botella. During my early years, what I wanted to do, I wanted to become a priest.
Oh.
And so I used to be a server at Our Lady of Visitation, and we were one of the people who were confirmed by Cardinal Otunga. Interestingly, that all of us who were confirmed at that time were all named Michael, his name.
Yes.
So we were all Michael. So at that early years, that's what I wanted to do. But as we went on in school, things changed. I went to secondary school, also in Nairobi, Highway Secondary School. That's where I did my Form 4. Then after that, I had to wait to go, and I went to university. First of all, during that short time when we were still waiting to go to university, I went to Technical University to do my certificate and diplomas. Then eventually I went and did my master's, my bachelor's degrees, and also my master's degree, and eventually my PhD. And during that period, I also did my professional exams. Yeah. I started working at CMC as an accounts assistant.
CMC Motors.
CMC Motors, yes. Okay. So I know so much about motor vehicles costings. I was a cost accountant.
Yeah.
Then I left CMC and I joined National Housing Corporation, also as an accountant, because that's the profession I was doing. Then I left National Housing to join Kenya Re. Kenya Re was one of those top companies then. That's one of my mentors was FT Nyamu. I don't know whether you know FT Nyamu. Was one of my mentors. And I worked there for 15 years. Then I left to go to East Africa Re. That's where I went in first as a finance and administration manager. I always say that story was interesting because the position was advertised and they wanted an insurance accountant. Somebody had done insurance because it was the first private insurance company. But I was not called for the interview. Then one time, Philip Ndegwa, they called me, sent somebody to call me to go for an interview. So I was interviewed alone at the building. So after the interview, I found myself being given the job. So I became the first financial controller of East Africa Re. No, first finance and administration manager of East Africa Re, and also board secretary of East Africa Re. And then from there, I was made the general manager of finance, administration, and company secretary. It was a new company. And when I was there, I was trying to find out what happened that I was not picked the first time. Why was I just called alone? So I understand that the interviews were done, but I was not the person who was doing it. Never called me. He called the rest. But the board members asked, "Where is this other person who did not appear here?" Then they said, "No, the name is here, but he's not there. He didn't come for the interview." So the board decided, "No, we must also interview him." That's how I was interviewed, and I got the job. Yes, I think they wanted somebody with that background in reinsurance. So that's how I got the job there. So I served there for about 2 years. Then Kenya Re advertised, KRA advertised the job of financial controller. KRA was just being formed. So they wanted people from institution, because this one was a World Bank institution I was working for, East Africa Re. So when I saw the advert, I wanted to apply, but my chairman was also chairman there. He was also Philip was also the chairman of Kenya Revenue Authority.
Okay.
At the time when I was his general manager.
Yes.
So it's very difficult to apply for a job where your boss
And your
is going to
chairman
interview
knows.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just left it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he passed on. And he was a good friend of mine. The family is a very good friend of mine up to today. And I saw the job was not given out. They re-advertised it 1 year later. Then I said, okay, let me put my application. So I put my application. Interestingly, I got that job because they wanted somebody who had a background in startups, who can set up things, because I had that background of setting up institutions from zero, from a box. When I set up East Africa, I'm the one who went to the post office box. You know, when you are alone and one secretary, setting a big company now. So I said from original documents of setting up company from a box. So it became very interesting.
Maybe, Doctor, you can explain why were you uncomfortable applying for the job because your chairman was on the other side? Because I think that's a very common thing that happens.
First of all,
to many executives.
Yeah, you realize that this is somebody you're working with and we have very good rapport. And I didn't want to let him down that I'm leaving because he's the one who picked me.
He had honored you.
Yeah, he had just picked me and said, no, you must work for me.
Yeah.
And I found it quite interesting. Because as I grew up in boards, I realized that we had some board members who are almost in all the boards. So sometimes you go to the interview, you find people you know being interviewed. So and the person will tell you, this person is not good, don't take him.
Is there an aspect of loyalty in that?
Yes.
Because you're already loyal to your institution, to your chairman, so you don't want to do something that seems to break that loyalty.
Yeah, and then he was also the chairman on the other side.
And he's the chairman on the other side.
Yeah,
you see you sitting in the interview.
He's sitting in the interview.
Okay.
There's this loyalty we built and relationship we built. Will just
and he's
die
your
off.
mentor.
Yeah, and he's my mentor. It will just die off, you know.
Yeah.
That trust he has placed in me will die off. So I decided not to apply.
Okay. So how did it go at Kenya Revenue?